I'm still a Kevin Gates fan, and I still think he can produce better music. Hopefully he stays out of prison. Please stay out of prison, yo. Like, nobody wants to see you go back.
Now we should probably start the show. See, everything you heard before was probably a warm-up. I got thousands of songs we can do. I could be here till 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. Don't give a fuck. Just like, you know, like crazy. So that real hip-hop is over.
What is good, guys? It is Esteban Xound here with another album review. Now, before we get into anything, remember to subscribe, comment, like, share. Let me know what you want to see next. Let me know what you want to see out of the album. Let me know what you think about the album. Let's have a discussion in the comment section. Without further ado, this is the Kevin Gates, Luca Brasi 3 album review. Going into the album, honestly, I'm a fan of Kevin Gates. I was asleep on his music for a long time. It wasn't until like 2016 that I really started listening to his music. I think he's got a dope, unique flow. I think he's got a unique voice. He's got a really good talent for songwriting. I think he makes some of the better, catchier songs. And I think I really enjoy his perspective on life. Now, I say this with a grain of salt. One thing that I really enjoy out of Kevin Gates' perspective on life is he's very much focused on principle and morals. And I think when somebody, for me personally, like I grew up without I'd say without a strong father figure in my life. I definitely had figures in my life that helped me out, but not in a very strong disciplinary way. And I think Kevin Gates kind of filled that void for me, just being super honest and personal. Like, especially during high school, I was kind of missing that void, and I think Kevin Gates definitely filled that void for me, and he definitely instilled a lot of principle and morals into me as a person. So I will always tip off my hats to Kevin Gates for doing that. Like, he definitely had a profound impact on my outlook on life for a very long time. Not so much nowadays. Obviously, as you get older, you kind of mature and you see some things for kind of what they are. And I think something that Kevin Gates kind of struggles with is trust. And I think I've kind of learned how to trust my environment a little more than maybe Kevin Gates does. That's just getting kind of very personal. I wasn't expecting to get that personal, but it's being honest. I do still enjoy Kevin Gates' perspective on morals and principles. I think he's very, very strong in his morals and principles, and I enjoy that. My favorite projects out of Kevin Gates are like Luca Brasi 2, By Any Means 2, and Isla. I really enjoyed his more recent projects. Chain to the City was a dope EP. I did enjoy that album as well, or that EP. And judging off the singles though, I was not liking the singles. So I'm like, okay, I'm a fan, I know what he can produce, and the EP was dope, but at the same time, the singles that are coming out of the Luca Brasi 3 project, I'm really not feeling. So a part of me was still holding out that we'd get a dope follow-up to Luca Brasi 2. But a part of me was kind of already getting ready for a bit of a disappointment from the singles. I was like, damn, I'm not really liking the direction that these tracks are going with. It was kind of mixed bag, but I was holding out for the best. So when I first heard the album, honestly, I was somewhat content, but I was somewhat disappointed. Okay, I do like some of these tracks on here, but a lot of it I'm not feeling. A lot of it didn't catch me like that, like previous Kevin Gates projects have. I think a lot of it was the content matter. A lot of the content matter wasn't catching me like it did before. And it's nothing that's anything new to Kevin Gates. I think he's kind of touched on these similar topics before, but the way he was doing it on this track or on this album just wasn't that interesting for me. After a few listens, yes, the album did grow on me, and I definitely found some of my favorite tracks on here. Content matter, I think we pretty much get what we get on here for the whole album. Kevin Gates is either talking about his family, his prison sentence, his distrust and disloyalty and betrayal, hustle, or his piles of money, or God. I think he kind of exhausts these kind of topics on all the tracks, and that's why I was just like, meh. My favorite tracks, most of my favorite tracks were kind of due to similar reasons, whether it was a flow or an instrumental or a vibe of the track. For my favorite tracks, I found myself liking them for the same kind of reasons. Now, Discussion, the opener track, I did enjoy. I think it was a dope instrumental. I think Kevin Gates was flowing on here. He was talking about his prison sentence, laying out all the facts, and why he took the charge that he did. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I think the instrumental sounded serious. Kevin Gates sounded serious on here. So I enjoyed that track. I was like, okay, this is what I like out of Kevin Gates. Ridiculous, I liked pretty much mostly for the flow on that track. Again, that kind of aggression on the album I enjoyed. Great Man, I thought had a dope sentiment on the album, kind of how he looks at himself. It's good to see that he has good high self-esteem for himself, so I enjoyed hearing that out of Kevin Gates. That definitely does help. Find You Again is a classic relationship track out of Kevin Gates. This is why I think when he's at his best, when I say that he's really good at making catchy songs, this is kind of when Kevin Gates shines, especially for the mainstream. This is like the dope mainstream kind of tracks I think Kevin Gates is really good at doing. He's a very strong songwriter, and I think the vocals on the hook was very dope, very strong, very passionate. So I definitely felt this track. And I think anybody who goes through multiple prison sentences, that would have a strain on anybody's relationship. So I could definitely see where he's coming from on the track. In God I Trust and Me Too are some of the stronger hooks on the album. Luca Brasi, Freestyle, Don't Know, Kung Fu. I thought those were some of the better tracks lyrically. Probably my favorite tracks on the album. I think Kevin Gates lyrically is just exercising on here, and I think the instrumentals are matching the energy that Kevin Gates is coming with on the album. So I really enjoyed those tracks towards the end, the kind of more energetic tracks on here. Make America Trap Again. Now, when I first heard this hook, I won't lie, I had to laugh at myself. It was like, make America trap again. I'm like, okay, this is somewhat ridiculous. But I think the more I listened to it, I was like, yo, this is really catching on me. Like, it's really, it's an earworm. It definitely catches on. And I think Kevin Gates is actually being conscious on the track. He's talking about conscious matter, talking about let the kids go back to being with their families in Mexico. And I'm like, okay, that's dope. Like, I never heard Kevin Gates go conscious on a track before. To hear him go conscious on a track, that's a huge evolution for Kevin Gates. So that was dope to hear. My least favorite tracks, Shaken Back. Honestly, I wasn't feeling Shaken Back. I wasn't feeling the auto-tune on that track, and the instrumental wasn't that interesting on that track. Money Long and Adding Up. I've heard Kevin Gates talk about money in a more interesting way. These tracks were kind of light for me. They didn't really do much for me. Shoulda. Again, I've heard Kevin Gates talk about relationships and love in a more interesting way. Now, don't get me wrong, the songwriting ability wasn't bad on this track, but I just wasn't feeling it. So overall, honestly, we get a decent project out of Kevin Gates. It definitely sounds like a compilation. It definitely sounds like a mixtape, and I think that stays true to the Luca Brasi series. But the thing was, he put it out as an album, and that's why I was kind of expecting a solid, cohesive project on here. I was hoping for something a little more cohesive on here. But I think we got like a collection of tracks on here. You kind of pick or choose which ones you like best. It's an alright album. I was hoping for more, but like I said, I really wasn't feeling a lot of these tracks on here. Not feeling that strong in this album. I'm still a Kevin Gates fan, and I still think he can produce better music. Hopefully he stays out of prison. Please stay out of prison, yo. Like, nobody wants to see you go back. I think that'll definitely help the music. I think if he's able to stay out for long enough, then he'll be able to put out maybe another By Any Means that'll be really quality. Hopefully we get some dope music out of Kevin Gates. I'm still holding out to see what he can put out, but this album really wasn't feeling that much. Honestly, I'm feeling like a light 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on this one. Again, if you have not subscribed, comment, like, share the video. If you have not, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Esteban Xound on Instagram and Twitter. Sound Movement on Instagram and Twitter. We'll have the website up and running pretty soon here. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on this one. Yes.